Hi there, thanks again for joining me. I really truly appreciate you taking a look at my videos, and today we're painting Frankenstein. Hey there, welcome. So this video is obviously going to be sped up quite a bit. This painting in its entirety probably took just over an hour, and no one is going to sit and watch one of my YouTube videos, sit here and listen to me banter with myself for that much time. So even though this is sped up, we still have plenty of time to, I still have plenty of time to kind of just babble on about this and that. So this is a painting of Frankenstein, the classic Boris Karloff Frankenstein that you would see in the classic horror movies. This is done in color. I took a couple of different references and mixed them together. I wanted a unique color scheme. I had seen some paintings done with this sort of color scheme, so this is quite similar to probably some of the other Frankenstein paintings you've seen in the past. So by no means am I claiming that this is some original masterpiece here that I came up with. So we got Boris Karloff's Frankenstein. I got a new sketchbook, and this sketchbook is a really thick paper, so I'm actually using oil paint in a sketchbook, which is the first time that I've tried doing this. But I caught a video by Santos, which is, if you don't follow him on YouTube, definitely take a look if you're interested in painting. He's a masterful painter, and his videos are awesome. So he did a review about these sketchbooks, and I purchased one. I'm going to put links to the sketchbooks in the description, so take a look at that. I'll also link to his video. So he does a review of these sketchbooks, and I never really thought of painting oil in a sketchbook because you just have all kinds of problems with the oil bleeding through the paper, and the buckling of the paper, and the paper's not thick enough. It's just not designed for that. So what I did was I prepared the sketchbook with clear gesso. Actually, no, I didn't. I didn't prepare it with clear gesso. I prepared it with house paint. So when we pick this up, you're going to see that I literally painted latex house paint over the entire thing. So I gave myself a nice brown base to work on, a brownish orange color that I had just mixed up some colors and thrown them in a pickle jar. And what you can do with that is, if you have leftover colors from when you paint a room in your house, pour them into a pickle jar, and on the lid of the pickle jar, use that clingy, waxy paper. I don't know what that stuff is called, but it's in kitchens. Like you could burn yourself and wrap up your skin, and it'll help it heal. I don't know. It's a self-sealing wax-like paper that's sort of opaque. I'll tell you what, I'll link to that in my description as well. But if you put that inside the lid and you close it, you'll never get the lids that freeze shut. So when you use the paint, you get a little of the latex in there. You can never open the pickle jar again. So you just put that in there and then close the lid. But it kind of got off on a tangent there. That's what these things are all about here. So I prepared it with latex house paint, like a brownish color, and then I put in a drawing. I transferred in a drawing just to speed things up a little bit. And I think a lot of times people are hesitant about drawing things in or transferring things with a projector, or using tracing paper or graphite transfer paper. I don't think that's something that you should really stress out about, especially when you're just learning how to paint. So I transferred in that drawing, and you saw me blocking in some of the things, and I'm just progressively building up the painting, and I'm using really thin applications of paint mixed with a little bit of Gamsol just to get things going, and allowing it to dry really fast. That'll dry really fast, but also have a dull quality. It won't be shiny like you see in this video. So then what I started to do was use a medium that I actually learned from Donato Giancola, who specializes in fantasy art, book covers. He's been around forever. I took a class with him. But his painting medium is a mixture of some really specific linseed oils and a little bit of natural terpene. He's got all kinds of this little recipe, and I can't link to that in the video because he actually sells his own instructional videos, and that recipe's in there, so I wouldn't feel right about giving away Donato's formula. But one of the things that he does use is he uses a cicative, which is a Cobalt Drier. It's a really nasty chemical that you definitely don't want to mess around with. But if you just take a couple little drops of this Cobalt Drier, that I'll also link to in the description, it really speeds up the drying time, and you get this really high gloss finish that looks great on an oil painting. So I'll spread that on an area that I'm going to work on, and then I'll work into it, just adding a little bit of medium as needed to increase the flow of the paint, increase the viscosity of the paint, where it's gonna go onto the surface the way that you want it to, nice and smooth. So you mix that in as needed. And like I said, it dries really fast because oil, as you probably know, takes forever to dry. So using that dryer is going to speed up that process and make using oil to do an illustration that you have a tight deadline on it makes it possible. So don't rule out using oil for illustration jobs on short deadlines. I know a lot of people steer away from oil because of the long drying times. But it's great to work with. I love the medium because it is a slow dry medium, and it does give you that high gloss finish. You can push around paint, so you can see that that's what I'm doing throughout this painting is I'm adding tiles of paint. I'm adding different values, I'm adding different colors, and then I'm blending those areas in. So I'm softening edges as needed, and I'm making some interesting marks and adding a little bit of visual noise, a little bit of texture to the painting, a little bit of when you look at the painting, you don't want it to be like a photograph. You want it to have some personality, or else why not just have a photo of Frankenstein's head printed out? If you're looking at artwork, or you're purchasing artwork, or you're creating artwork for that matter, you're looking to have it look like it was touched by the hand of the artist. I think that's what resonates with people. It doesn't seem disconnected or artificial like a photograph can sometimes seem, or digital artwork for that matter can seem like there's a disconnect, like it was made with a machine, and you sort of you see the tool as the artist rather than seeing the artist using the tool. And I think I just called artists tools, but I don't even know what happened there. But again, I digress and get off track. A little bit more about the painting. Why did I choose this as the subject? I just thought, I think I've painted Frankenstein probably 2 or 3 or 4 times in my life, from the time you're young and you're fascinated with this sort of thing until, now obviously as an adult painting it. But I think it's just when you paint these types of things, you don't have the pressure of the likeness. If it's just a straight up portrait of a person, you have the pressure of trying to nail a likeness. And I think with this, you can afford to be more stylized because this is a fictional character and you're actually painting over someone else's artwork because they did this makeup with the prosthetics and all these different things. But here's a little close-up. We're kind of coming to the end of the speed paint here, putting on some final touches, some little sparkling details and increasing contrast. And here's a little zoomed out photo of this. Once again, I love having comments, so if you'd like to do that or subscribe, that would be great.
Thanks for watching. There's a little button that they put on the laptop or something, and then they say click it, and then you can never even miss a video.
That's if you subscribe.